Let me say to all of you, I want to thank you for inviting me here today and to being with you. I've been able to do this before when I was the governor of the state of West Virginia, and I enjoyed so much being with you, and I appreciate it. I want to thank my dear friend Harold, who has really truly been a friend, and a friend in need is a friend indeed, as they said, and we all are having our needs from time to time, but we've got to stick together, and Harold has always been there. To Kevin and the entire staff, I appreciate everything that you all have done. In all my years of public service, I've always held a deep appreciation for first responders. People, when you think about it, you wake up every day, every morning you wake up willing to put yourself in harm's way for me and my family and all the families, not just of West Virginia, but all over the country. That's a special person. When I was Secretary of State, I got to go to all of the schools and talk to children. And I made them think. I said, think about somebody that was willing to do whatever they could to keep you safe. Who would you think of? And they said, well, my mom and my dad. And I said, what about people in uniform? And you see, oh yeah, the policemen and firemen, they're always there for us. Just to remind them and not to take it for granted. And it's something that I try to instill in all of them. Most of them can remember back to September 11th. All of us can remember where we were on September 11th, and I'm sure there's some of you all that were there and have helped and support. And I can still recall that day I'm watching as everybody was running away and trying to get out of danger, and you all were running into danger to try to save people. That's left an indelible impression in my mind that will always be there, and I thank you for that. When I was governor, no one gives you a book to be governor. Whatever they tell you, when you get elected to these jobs, they don't have a manual that goes with it. It might be good. It might help some, but there's no manual. So you just kind of, whatever's in your gut. My first thing as the governor of the state of West Virginia, I wanted to make sure that the people in my state had a sense of security, feeling of being safe. So we made sure of our Office of Emergency Services. I wanted to make sure that we were all talking on the same channels, if you will. We were all there assisting and helping each other. And wherever any part of the state, and our state's a very rural state, that you might be, there was always be someone to back you up. And it was always our firefighters and first responders who we turned to get that done. We don't have to look very far to find another tragedy, unlike ones we've ever seen before. The tragedy in Japan is unbelievable. Unbelievable what we're seeing. And again, who do you see out front? Who do you see out front that's doing the job and trying to comfort and trying to give solace to the people that are just suffering so much? It's been said many times, and I know that you hear this, and it's not that I don't believe anybody, and I know it's hard for you all to believe, they pander to you. First of all, I love your support and thank you. Because of you, I'm here. This is the first group that stood out and was willing to fight for me and believe in me. And I appreciate all that, but I am still so impressed with the bravery that goes on from all of you in this room and all of your brothers and sisters around this country, what they do every day and what they're willing to do. The unbreakable courage and teamwork should really inspire all public servants to rise to that level, to take the challenges that come. People have to prepare themselves to the highest degree possible in order to help others. I think that if we work together, we can show that anything can be done. Washington's a different place. And when people say, how are you doing? I said, I'm doing fine. I'm trying to learn the lay of the land. I'm trying to kind of watch. I'm in the most deliberate body. Coming from the executive branch of government, which being governor, you've got to make a decision, boom, every minute of every day. Then you come into the deliberate, which is the framers of our Constitution set this way. It's an adjustment. But when you look at the world as we get to see it as a senator, you've got a chance, a great opportunity to make a difference. But it's bringing people together, and that's what we're trying to do. Last Congress, I was, during our lame duck, I was happy to support our Public Safety Employer-Employee Cooperation Act to extend the right to bargain over hours, wages, and working conditions to public safety of employees, and I believe it's very, very important. And I really believe that you all should have the same rights as other public sector employees do, and I've fought for that. Harold worked so hard on that, and we continue to try to strive for that. I can't tell you what's going on in Wisconsin. I don't agree at all. I have never seen a situation that deliberately wedges and separates people. In a bargaining agreement, basically, you sit down, you work out your differences. It requires both sides to come to the table in an open, honest, transparent way. You've got to sit down and lay it out, what your challenges might be, what you're seeing for the future, and ask all of you as partnerships, how do we get ourselves through this? How can we help each other? I didn't see that being done. And I can't imagine being in a situation where I would deliberately, as the governor, or deliberately as an elected official, try to tear people apart rather than bring them together. I just don't see any good coming of that whatsoever. And I'm praying for the people there that they are going to have their voice and their right to sit down and bargain collectively on what basically is best for the people they represent, the people that they support, the people that they protect. When you get people coming together, and I often said this, human nature is we want to get along. It's who we are as a people. We want to work together. You want to find out the differences and see if you can bridge the gaps. This partisan politics that you're seeing going on, and I've said this, when I was standing afar, when I was running for this seat, I said, I think what's wrong in Washington is this. I've seen people put their politics or their government, their political party first, their personal politics second, and what's good for the country third. That has to change. I don't care whether you're Democrat or Republican. The country must come first. We're going to face some tough economic challenges here. We got some tough things coming at us. We don't even have a budget. We're working on basically a continuing resolution. They call it a CR. And we're just basically getting by week to week, and there'll be another continuing resolution offered this week to go for another 2 or 3 weeks. Sooner or later, you've got to have that budget. As most states work with a balanced budget, most of the communities where you come from, those states that you come from, have balanced budgets. We've got to start living in our means. Think about this. How many of you have ever put a budget together based on what you're spending versus what you're going to earn? Think about it. Basically, you look and see what kind of money you're going to have on a monthly basis, and then you try to figure how you're going to spend within that framework. This is the only place in the world that puts all their expenses first and figures out how they're going to pay for it afterwards. Doesn't make any sense to me at all. Doesn't matter. I'm not criticizing. I'm criticizing everybody and nobody in particular. The system is the way it is. Are we at fault? Have we demanded more than we should? Is there more things that people believe they're entitled to? I can tell you everybody's going to take a trimming on this. And they're all scared to move. You know why? The first one that flinches and moves, uh-oh, gotcha, I'll use that against you in 2012. It's all about the next election. We should be looking at the next generation, not the next election. The bottom line is this. It's time for us to face our fiscal challenges. We've got them. You can't continue to have 24, 25% of your spending to GDP. You can't run up $14 trillion. You can't be in a nation basically that the whole world looks upon and depends upon and can't be strong enough to help them. I would remind you, Russia, 1979. Russia was pretty much the bully of the world. A tremendous defense department. They were a pretty strong nation at that time. They went into Afghanistan. That turned into more than they ever thought they would get involved with. And then we took advantage of them and spent them into oblivion. That time, Reagan basically kept building up defenses. They tried to catch us and stay with us. And if you evaluate that whole procedure that happened, basically it broke their backs. I never want to get in that position. I don't think this nation could ever afford to get in that position. That's why we're very, very cautious of what we see going on, and we're very cautious about what's happening around the world. This whole Middle East uprising, Tunisia, Egypt, Libya now, Yemen. This basically started with one little retailer, 35-year-old gentleman in Tunisia, that the government seized his little store and all his goods. Just stopped him from doing business. And he set himself ablaze, set himself on fire. And because of the internet and Twitter and YouTube, everything else, communications, basically the whole world, it spread like wildfire. It wasn't any type of Muslim Brotherhood. It wasn't any fanatics. It was basically people desiring to be as free, and now they're seeing it happening around the world, and they want a part of it. That's what's happening. That's the movement you see going on. Everybody's trying to jump in front. Who's going to control this train? You can't control the train of freedom. The train of freedom doesn't have a driver. It has all of us, and that's what makes this country. This is the best country in the world. The best country in the world. And I can tell you one thing, we need to stand up for this country. We need to make sure that this country stays as strong, the values that we were raised with, the people that we respect, the people that we look forward to. Each one of you in this room, no matter what your differences may be, I'll guarantee you there's people look up to you every day. There's people that depend on you. The children of America depend on you. The families depend on you. You're always there, and you always have been there for them. For anybody in this country, and when it's time of challenge and time of danger, you've been there. And I want you to know we're going to be there for you. I will always, in the Senate, anything I can do, any way that I can be of any help, any assistance, shoot straight. Harold, anybody calls, and he knows that. I'll tell you what the lay of the land is, what I can do to help, what I think basically we need to do in order to make sure people understand the cause that we have. And it's a cause worth fighting for, and it's a cause that you have fought for. So I'm basically here to say thank you. Thank you for the job that you do every day. Thank you for the commitment. Thank you for being the American that you are. God bless each and every one of you. Thank you.
Thank you,